Thursday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Blues. Man, it's Joe Bear in the house, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blues Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up those football gods here on this, thank God it's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. I don't know what else to call it, but it's Thursday afternoon, and our Dallas Cowboys will be getting back on the field today. And, you know, I've been excited as can be about everything that has, well, I won't say everything, but this offseason, we heard Jerry Jones say, after completely a disappointing season, you know, and some of it was from their making, some of it was pandemic, some of it was just injuries, some of it was just shit just happened. It was literally the perfect storm for everything to come together just to make the Dallas Cowboys awful. It just was. You know, you lose your starting quarterback, you play 4 quarterbacks in a season, recipe for disaster. Your offensive line never got out the gate to get going. Your running back had fumbleitis and just didn't have that burst. You know, he had COVID in the offseason, not long before training camp started. You had a new coach. You had a defensive coordinator who didn't really know what the heck he wanted to do. It was a perfect storm for everything to go wrong. And you looked at, we made so many moves late in the season, you know, when we signed, you know, Gerald McCoy and Emerson Griffin, the Dante Poe. We were signing some of these guys in a shortened training camp that weren't able to practice even in the shortened training camp that were on the PUP list. We had players that were key, like Tyrone Crawford, coming off double hip surgery. So you looked at that situation, and Jerry Jones said, basically, you know, when you're the GM, you can't, GM and owner, you can't fire yourself. You've got to make that guy better. I must change, I will, or I have to change, and I will change. And it seems like some things actually have changed. See, here's my thing. You know, you're always going to lean towards what you know. Vash Lombardi will tell you every year, draft offensive lineman, draft offensive lineman. Why? Because he was an offensive lineman. He believes in that. He knows that down. He's been down in the dirt, in the grime, in the fight in there, and understands the importance of that offensive line. Me, I played offensive line in high school, but then nose guard in college. So I've been preaching for years the one technique. That the Cowboys don't believe in the linemen, the big uglies, okay? I'm not that big anymore, but I definitely got the ugly part down. And they haven't really focused on it. It's always been that afterthought. It's always been, we need linebackers or we need cornerbacks, you know. You go through, you draft a Byron Jones, you know. You trade up and get a Morris Claiborne, you know. You draft a Leighton Van Der Esch in the first, or you get a Jalen Smith, you know, discounted in the second. It's always those things that you take care of first. But, I mean, I hope I can get the saying right, but you know, you close the barn door it's like closing the barn door after the cows get out. Is that what it is? Or the horse, or whatever gets out. And that's kind of the way that our defense has been focused, is when you put priority on the cornerback. You know, we got to get great cornerbacks or great linebackers. They've already gotten out the barn and have to deal with that second level, instead of closing the barn door. And closing the barn door is the defensive line. Because if you get the defensive line doing their job, then the farm animals aren't getting out the barn. You're outside the barn. They're inside. You can do whatever you want outside the barn, because you're not out there chasing cows that run all over the place. I don't know if that analogy works or you understand it. But herein lies the problem for us. We look and say, well, Jalen Smith can't tackle. Jalen Smith is getting carried by the running back, you know, 5 yards down the field. True. But he's having to shed a block because there's nobody holding up that guard. He's having to go ahead and, oh, man, that damn bull is running out the garage. Damn, now I got to try and grab him and hold on for dear life. And this is where I finally feel, because Dan Quinn actually played nose guard, he understands the importance of that defensive line. He's in there with them now, grinding, teaching to attack, physical. And he's got guys that aren't coming off hip surgery, that aren't older, that have high motors, even though they're big guys, between, Gallimore, between Quentin Bohannon and Tristan Hill. These are big guys, but they're young and have a lot of push. And that's where I'm excited about this. I can't wait to see some of the highlights and stuff from today's practice and things. It's been great having actually the players on the field working together and doing, practice stuff and pictures here. You get a little taste, just a little taste here before we go on a hiatus for the summer. So I'm encouraged by the players that are getting back on the field. And as Dak Prescott put it, I'm pretty much a full go. And I want to play a little bit of his press conference from the other day.
Is there a next step for you to get to as far as what you can do physically, or restricted in any way, shape, or form at this time?
No, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily limited. I think we're just being cautious and being smart in the fact of I'm not doing things when there's a pass rush or guys, potentially falling at the legs or something of that nature. But as far as saying I can't do drills or I can't do something, I'm pretty much full go.
So how did it feel to be back out there today, yesterday, and be back with your team in those kind of live situations, very personal?
Yeah, I mean, it felt great. I mean, after long months of recovery and just rehab of just main goal is just getting back out there with my teammates, getting back on the field, running a huddle, building that camaraderie on the field. It was just exciting yesterday and carrying over today, but so much that we can build on as a team and me personally. But it's just exciting to know that the game is back and I'm able to be a part of it.
Are there any benchmarks you still need to clear to get back to feeling everything the way you felt before getting hurt?
No, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I think, as I said, not being limited or not being restricted to doing anything kind of says it alone that I'm ready to go. I mean, I don't know as far as being tackled or the ankle being jerked and stuff under a pile. Obviously, we're not there yet, but we're far from being there. So I'm good to go, really.
Oh, I love hearing that.
When did you feel like you were okay when you were doing drills over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it'd be hard to say the exact date, but I'd say a few weeks ago. Maybe even close to a month in the sense. But just first time I started jumping on this leg and landing on this leg alone, cutting off of this leg, doing a lot of the things that I naturally do in a game and doing them in a reactive form of not necessarily a calculated, I'm a cut here, but just reacting and being able to do those moves and not feeling anything and not necessarily having a nagging residual pain afterwards. I felt like then I was ready to go.
Are there things you need to do to longer to warm up, or things you need to do post-practice now that you wouldn't have done with this thing?
Yeah, I think I probably need a little bit more of extended warm-up than some of the guys, or than the warm-up you may just see as the team takes, just to get the leg going and just get the rest of my body going. And more, I like to break a sweat and do that just so my mind's off of it and I'm not working out or dropping back on a cold ankle to say that. But after the fact, not necessarily. I mean, obviously still the rehab process and still things that I have to do to make sure that it's not causing a residual effect and nagging and lagging pain. So for the most part, just following the trainers and doing everything that they've been asking me to do, and it felt good from day one to day two. So right now I think it's just building up that endurance, being able to make sure if we're going again tomorrow that I could do that and be ready to go 5, 6, 7 days straight if I needed to.
Is that something that you will probably always do now, sort of the extended warm-up kind of thing, or is that just now closer to the injury itself?
I'd just say it's closer to the injury, but it's the extended warm-up something I actually like, just getting the body going all the way around. So I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if you guys continue to see me doing that. I mean, long after this injury, as I said, just because of the way it makes me feel.
Do you have no residual pain or soreness after any sort of drills with it?
No, not necessarily. But obviously, we've only just had two days back to back, and fortunate tomorrow can be a recovery day. So just trying to stay with the plan right now and be smart with it. But haven't had any, and hoping just continue to take care of my body so it doesn't sneak up on me or I don't have to take a step back.
How where you are now, you don't go beyond back-to-back days. You always take that third day off as far as really pushing it.
I mean, right now it's just been the plan more than anything. So, but when we have a third day in a row, I hope by that time that comes that I'm ready to go and I don't have to take that third day as a break. So it's just kind of been the plan of the offseason. Monday, Tuesday, you kind of recover on Wednesday and then go back at it Thursday, Friday, sneak in another day during the weekend. So that's just kind of been the plan all recovery and rehab process. So no reason to change it right now.
How important are your legs to your throwing ability? How much is that based?
Really?
Huge. I mean, the throw and me and the way that I've been working, it all begins pretty much with the ground and with my ankle, using my hips and creating that ground force from the ankle up. So, I mean, that's super important. It's something that I continue to work on. And as I said, that's one of the main reasons I don't want the pain or the residual effect to happen where now I'm throwing with my arm or I'm trying to do too much with my upper body rather than letting my whole body work.
There was a stretch in practice where there was an interception followed by a PBU shortly thereafter. I was just curious what your takeaway was from that. Was it any part related to the base of your body that we're talking about?
I mean, one of them was on the run, and that's just in the sense of right now in OTAs, I'm not going to necessarily throw the ball away. I want to try to make some throws. I want to try to get some receivers to know that, hey, I'll throw it to you in these situations, but you got to go and get the ball and we can be on the same page.
There you go.
But today was a great day coming off of yesterday. Not to say that my legs got tired, but I felt them more than I did yesterday. So no excuses, just something that I've got to move forward. As I said, continue to build that endurance.
You talked about feeling okay about a month ago, Dak. What has that process been like of learning to trust your leg? What have you learned about that?
It's been fun. I mean, I had great doctors and great trainers and everybody that played a part in this rehab. So just to trust that everything that I've done and to trust myself that all the work that I've put in, that the ankle is fine, that some of these movements it's more about the psychological effect of me not being able to do them rather than my leg can't do them. So just to trust it, to push it, but just to know I've got, as I said, take care of my body as well in the back end, that those days and those times when I do push it to the further extent that I'm hurting myself or giving me a chance that I have to take a step back.
Is that a deal where there's specific moments where you feel breakthroughs, or is it more gradual than that?
I'd say it's more gradual, just in the sense as a couple of weeks ago, I mean, y'all saw me handing off the ball and carrying out my fake. A couple of weeks ago, I may have been a little bit more timid where the last few days I was really trying to push it and I was trying to go further than I normally would carrying out the fake, just as I said, just for that psychological effect to say, hey, you're good, you're fine, you see you're doing it. So as the more reps happen, the better and better it feels.
Dak, did you reach out to Alan Hearns? Because he went through something similar. Did you talk to him to see what this was going to be like?
Yeah, definitely. I talked to Alan. Alan was one of the ones that reached out to me right after it happened, obviously, and we shared a little bit of what he went through and just knowing how strong Alan was and his comeback and just seeing him on the field a year after. Just allows you to have another sense of confidence in yourself and just the people around you to knowing that I'll be able to go out there just like he did and return from this.
Dak, when you signed your contract, you talked about wanting to come back for your health and also wanting to continue to instill the culture as a leader. How have you had opportunities to do that over the last months, and what have the virtual meetings or being back in the facility been like?
I mean, it's just been great getting around the team, having pretty much the whole team here for OTAs, or I think the whole team. It's great. You just see all the guys that want to work. They want to get better. Obviously, coming off a season like we had last year, without a lot of wins and with a lot of injuries, guys are just hungry. Just so to be able to come back and have the sense of urgency that we do in the locker room and on the field, it's been fun. It's been fun to lead the guys and, as you said, build that camaraderie on the field and off the field when we get a chance.
You've had some teams kind of not either be involved in the off-season program as a group or not everybody at the OTAs the way you guys have had it here. How much of an advantage do you think that could be for you guys when the season starts that you've had such good attendance?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be huge. It's going to pay off. I mean, and obviously the mental aspect and knowing the scheme, whether it's the defense learning the new scheme or whether it's offense just being on the same page and communicating better, I think it's going to pay off huge when we get to training camp to have that maybe that step that these other teams might not take during the offseason for us to get that and then to build off of that in the training camp and just continue to grow as we get into the season.
Can you share what some of those conversations were with your teammates about deciding to be out here for this when there were a lot of teams that publicly said they were going to stay away?
Believe it or not, there wasn't many conversations about not showing up, coming from me and coming from other guys and a lot of leaders. I mean, obviously, we talked to some of the NFLPA reps just on what those meetings are about. But as far as these guys in this locker room, didn't really hear much talk or have much conversations about guys not showing up, to be honest with you.
Well, that's great news. All right, so you can actually listen to the rest of that. It's on the Dallas Cowboys website. But I don't want the video to get too long here. And actually, I have to hit the road here. I've got to actually do some work down, doing a big picnic table and doing some extensions for a chair for an older gentleman to make it easier for him to get out of it. So I got to try and get ahead of the traffic for the holiday. I love that, he's been working out, that the team has been chomping at the bit to get back there and work because, most guys don't like practice and stuff. They just want to go out and play games. But the fact that the Cowboys players really didn't need to be much discussion on whether or not we were coming in and working, and knowing that we have more Cowboy players that have been working out this offseason than other teams, it makes you feel good because you feel like this team is actually getting focused on something other than, that they're getting focused on football and something instead of something else. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to hear what goes on today. But you know what time it is.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.